Watch this.
You probably already know about the debate over seasonal migrant workers and what they mean for Idaho's economy. But it's not just with the ag industry. And a group of senators, including Idaho's, are urging the federal government to help the labor shortage and jobs Americans don't seem to want.
Construction, take that for example. There wouldn't be enough workers for the construction crews to be fully effective.
You'd think a quieter fire season would have saved Idaho some money. Not really. State of Idaho still spent close to $60 million this year. And we might start next year millions in the hole.
We're hopeful that that number doesn't go too much higher.
Parents born of a certain era certainly seem to hold on to a lot. But one Nampa daughter had no idea how much or how much it might mean to her as we come to the end of the penny era.
Watch this.
An intro so nice, we ran it twice. All right, want to get certain people of certain parts of the majority party all worked up? Start talking about jobs Americans won't or refuse to do. We've spoken to farmers, dairy farmers, food production, and they all tell us they can't get Idahoans to work for them longer than a week or even a day, which is why many of them welcome guest workers from outside the U.S. as part of the H-2A work visa program. But the need isn't just in agriculture. Right now, those visas, the H-2B visas for jobs in construction, landscaping, restaurant, and service industries, they're capped at $66,000 for the entire country. Well, now both of Idaho senators have signed onto a letter asking the Department of Homeland Security and the Department of Labor to allow for more H-2B workers. Joe Paris asked Senator Mike Crapo why.
A bipartisan group of U.S. senators are advocating for American businesses who say they need help filling employment gaps. Idaho Senators Mike Crapo and Jim Risch are calling for the release of additional work visas for non-agriculture employees.
This is a letter that is being led by Senator Mike Rounds from South Dakota and Angus Keene from Maine, and it requests the Department of Labor and Homeland Security to release supplemental H-2B visas for fiscal year 2026.
Senator Mike Crapo has signed on to similar efforts in the past with the goal of supporting Idaho businesses.
It allows our businesses to keep their businesses fully operational with adequate employees, and it's been a very significant help to Idaho businesses.
H-2B visas are for seasonal or temporary workers, and there's an annual cap of 66,000 visas for the year. Employers need to try and fill spots with American workers first, but those spots can be tough to fill.
Construction, take that for example. There wouldn't be enough workers for the construction crews to be fully effective. And then when they aren't, then what that means is they have to do fewer jobs, generate less revenue and less economic activity in the state of Idaho. So our economic activity goes down and the productivity of these companies goes down, and their opportunities to really build the strongest companies and the strongest economy they can.
Across the nation, needs for H-2B visas vary. In Idaho, there is primarily a need in forest and timber work. Idaho has 52 employers that utilize the program for a total of about 1,500 workers. Resorts, golf clubs, construction, landscaping operations, they're among the top fields using the program in Idaho.
While we try to fix our broken immigration system so that we can truly have a guest worker program that allows for legal entry into the United States for work purposes on a temporary basis, that we have a relief valve for those businesses in the state of Idaho and across the country, but in our case, in the state of Idaho, it shows that our delegation recognizes that our businesses do have a need for workers, and we're providing them an opportunity to get access to those workers.
In the letter to the Departments of Homeland Security and Labor, signed by Idaho's delegation in the Senate, the point is raised. Issuing the extra discretionary H-2B visas in a timely manner will help alleviate these workforce shortages, and in doing so will help create and sustain the jobs of American workers who rely on the H-2B workers to support their duties during their peak season.
Congress has already authorized these additional H-2B visas, but it takes the Department and Homeland Security to make the regulatory decision to release these visas for access.
And of course, when you talk about B, you should also talk about A. And conversations do continue in Congress about H-2A visas that are specifically for agricultural workers. Brian, a big sticking point in Idaho, for example, Idaho dairies, they're not a temporary or a seasonal job that needs staffing. And that is something that Idaho's congressional delegation has touched on in recent years. So there needs to be a fix. And as you heard Senator Crapo touch on, they're working on immigration in Congress, but we know families in Idaho, family farms, family operations, we're not even talking about big corporations, they're asking for help now.
Yeah, well, we do know that there are senators and lawmakers within the state of Idaho that would not agree to any of this expansion.
That's true. There are absolutists that say we do not want any immigrants working jobs.
Yep. All right. Thanks, Joe. Does step aside mean I quit? Well, that's the question at the center of a lawsuit filed last year by former West Bonner County School District Superintendent Brandon Durst and the former Democratic state senator, the former Idaho Freedom Foundation staff member, the former candidate for state superintendent and current Republican candidate for state senate, says those two things are not the same and wants more than $400,000 to prove it. You might remember Durst sued the West Bonner County School District back in June of 2024 for breach of contract after he was hired in June of 2023 to be superintendent, despite not being qualified to hold such a job in the state of Idaho. That was followed by months of will he or won't he when Durst asked the State Board of Education to grant him an emergency certification so he could keep his two-year job. When that request was denied in September of 2023, because the state just can't hand out emergency certifications to unqualified people, Durst then took to social media to post what appeared to be a resignation letter on September 25th, a letter that began with, "I'm announcing my decision to seek an amicable and fair exit," and blamed the State Board of Education for wanting him to fail. It also included the sentence, "To promote healing and unity, I believe it is necessary for me to step aside as superintendent." It went on to say, "My last day as superintendent will be up to the board." Well, the board took him at his word and decided that his last day would be a month later, on October 25th, when they appeared to accept Durst's resignation and then hired Joe Kren as the interim superintendent. But as Durst said in his lawsuit, the board, quote, intentionally misrepresented the nature and purpose, end quote, of his letter. And now, according to the Idaho Ed News, he claims the mix-up cost him about $402,000. That would include the remaining 20 months of his salary. That'd be unpaid medical benefits, unused vacation days, and nearly $181,000 in retirement benefits. Durst hired a CPA to put all those numbers together and testify in court. Of course, West Bonner disagrees. Both sides want a judge to rule without a trial, but for now, it is scheduled to go before a jury in January. Idaho's wildfire season may have been fairly mild this year, but the cost of fighting it was anything but. As Hunter Funk learned, Idaho Department of Lands met yesterday, and the 2025 costs drained the bank account at a time when the state is navigating budget holdbacks.
According to the Idaho Department of Lands, as of November 3rd, there were 257 human-caused fires and 135 lightning-caused fires, bringing the year's total to 392. Compare that to 2024, when there was more than 1,400 wildfires. So it might not feel like a near $60 million season, but that's what the Board of Land Commissioners revealed Tuesday.
Do you expect that $59 million to grow any further than what it currently is, or is that the final cost for the year? Do you expect other expenses?
Governor, Mr. Controller, we're hopeful that that number doesn't go too much higher. We do have some cost share figures we do have to calculate from this fire season. A lot of the 2025 costs have yet to be reconciled, and so the numbers I'm giving you today are the best estimates based on the reconciliation work done by our business staff.
The state will recoup about $18.6 million of that through reimbursements, money paid back by federal partners. But Idaho's total obligation this year, $40.6 million. And some of that wasn't even for the flames themselves. It was for what it takes to be ready. Things like contract helicopters, engines, crews, tools Idaho relies on for initial fire attack. And that brings the total to
net after we pay our debts that are owed to our partners and what's owed back to us, we have roughly $15 million in the suppression account.
Here's the problem. The money Idaho has set aside for next year's fire season likely not enough. State officials estimate Idaho will owe nearly $5 million in fixed costs right at the start of the 2026 season, before the first fire were to ever start. Governor Brad Little warned that once helicopters, crews, and equipment contracts kick in, costs could top $10 million, again before fighting any single wildfire. All of this comes as most state agencies face budget holdbacks, and Idaho is dealing with a more than $56 million deficit this fiscal year.
I'm just trying to figure out what the budget request needs to be so we don't have to do deficiency warrants. That's my only question, but
Yeah.
we can talk to that offline. Go
Yeah,
ahead.
and Governor, some of that we could take a look at the fire cache. I mean, there's a lot of complexity there with incoming and outgoing supplies, fixed costs there, and so that might be part of that as well. So we'll take a look at that.
Now, these numbers are not yet final, right? The year is not over yet, but the anticipated costs. And Brian, you can see the land board will continue to be reviewing these and try to figure out where that money is going to come from for 2026.
I know you tried to reach out to the land board today.
Yes.
They didn't get back to you. But I was looking at a story we did last year at this time, and we spent $50 to $55 million last year. When even then they were telling us the average that Idaho spends is $25 to $35 million. So it's time to adjust some of these numbers, I think.
Right, because if we're spending $59.3 million on a year with a lot less fires, I mean, less
fewer
than
fires,
half.
why are we spending more money?
Exactly.
Wish we could ask that question today.
Yeah,
All
that
right,
would've
thank you
been
very
nice.
much, Hunter. Oh, sure, the penny may have lost its luster in the eyes of many Americans, but not for one Nampa family. As they say, in for a penny, in for hundreds of pounds. All right, no pennies for your thoughts today, but we would like to hear them anyway. Any questions, comments, or concerns you might have, just tell us about it. Send us a text message, 208-321-5614. As always, include your name and the hashtag #the208. And if you stick around, you might see yours shared at the end of the show. Find a penny, pick it up. All day long, you'll have good luck. People still do that, pick up pennies off the ground? Not likely. However, the way the penny is treated these days, you're more likely to find them on the ground than in your pocket. And because of that, the Philadelphia Mint pressed its last penny last week after 232 years of making them. The reason? A lack of relevance and cost of production, and now cost nearly 4 cents to make a 1 cent penny. And who uses them anyway? Well, one Nampa woman still treasures hers, and so did her dad. Like, a lot. They may be our smallest denomination, weighing just 1/10 of an ounce, but the penny is certainly strong enough to carry priceless memories.
Keychains, marbles, tokens, belt buckles.
To say Bob Larson was a collector
Organized hoarder, exactly.
would be an understatement,
He had 2 of everything, at least 2 of everything.
as evidenced by what was under his house.
I remember him sitting downstairs at his desk and then put it where it needed to go. So
You see, Bob was born during the Great Depression, and Anne Marie remembers her dad stockpiling stuff from an early age.
but it got worse. It got more so after he retired.
How much more wouldn't be known until after Bob died in August of 2021.
We didn't realize the depth of his collections.
Shelves deep, from hat pins to River Festival pins.
Yeah, just pin after pin after pin after pin.
And dice and magnets made out of bottle caps.
And these are all that I have left. These are the ones that I saved.
I mean, who can blame someone for keeping this uncounted accumulation of tie tacks and clips?
A whole bunch.
Anne Marie says her dad told her before he died to look through everything.
Yeah, so it was like a treasure hunt, going through his things.
So finding 2 decanters celebrating Idaho's territorial centennial, that wasn't a shock for Anne Marie.
But this was a surprise because it's full of dimes.
But oh, that was just the beginning.
Those are the nickels.
Of Bob's cache of coins. You see, Bob had a penchant for pennies.
I just didn't find anything strange about it until I had to bring them all home.
And when she did, they needed help from the neighbor.
He actually hurt his back doing it. We felt really bad.
Bob didn't just throw pennies in bottles and boxes and milk cans.
We do estimate that it's over 200 pounds, though.
I mean, he did.
There's 4 pennies in this.
But not before he sorted and accounted for every one.
Anytime that he would put pennies in this one, it looks like he would write down the dollar amount of how many he put in here. He wrote estimated full $265.20 for this one. So
reading that note years later is something that still connects a daughter
I just miss him.
to her dad.
I miss him, and I just picture him touching every single coin.
Yet even in these moments, Anne Marie can see the absurdity of it. And so did her mom, who actually made Bob part with his pennies 30 years ago.
And he bought a Volkswagen Bug with the pennies.
A 50,000 penny dream car.
That's how many pennies he had.
As for how many there are now,
So this one is about 30,000 pennies as well.
well, there's only one way to know, and Anne Marie would rather not.
Frankly, it's kind of embarrassing.
And getting rid of them
Let's hope copper prices go up.
isn't really an option.
They're just kind of sentimental, you know?
So for those of you who say the penny carries little value these days, for Anne Marie,
They are still valuable. In my heart, they're valuable.
that just doesn't make sense.
Yep.
Like Anne Marie's coins, the penny isn't going anywhere anytime soon. According to the Treasury Department, the lifespan of a coin in circulation is about 30 years or so. Anne Marie cashing in her coins, well, that could really do a number to that math. So while the rest of us will be transitioning away from, penny candy, penny loafers, and paying 1 or 2 cents for people's thoughts, and maybe stop saying things like penny wise, pound foolish, or in for a penny, in for a pound, for Anne Marie, tens of thousands of pennies saved is worth more than double that in sentimentality.
I think we should throw this shot of the sun setting over Sun Valley into the mix with those gorgeous photos we just saw. Beautiful sunset up in the Wood River Valley where temperatures are in the mid-40s. We have dipped into the 40s here in Boise as well. The sun going down across the area. You can see some clouds still hanging out overhead, and we still have a few very light showers moving in from south to north, mostly in the Twin Falls area. A few flurries working to develop around Sun Valley, and radar picking up maybe just a couple of spot sprinkles over the Treasure Valley, but we won't see much for the next several hours. There is another system brewing off to our west. It's going to continue tracking west, or east, I should say, and then dive south. So this is going to lose a lot of oomph as it progresses eastward, but I do think tomorrow we'll have a few showers in play in the morning across the area. We'll be in the 40s early on because of cloud cover building in. We'll climb up to about 50 degrees tomorrow. Morning lows down into the 20s in Stanley, at the freezing mark in McCall. So our central mountain locations could pick up just a skiff of snow tomorrow morning as that system rolls through. We'll see temperatures in the upper 30s early on in the Treasure Valley, a mostly cloudy sky even after the rain departs by midday. Highs will cool just a bit over today, maybe 1 or 2 degrees, but still above normal. And hey, if you like a high of 50, morning lows in the mid 30s and a partly cloudy sky, you'll be a happy camper, as that's about what we have every single day through next Monday. I think Friday ends up being our sunniest day, though we could see fog coming and going as well through the weekend.
West Ada School District is considering some changes to the boundary there, and tonight is your last chance to weigh in on that. And with ski and snowboard season just right around the corner, Bogus Basin unveiled a new technology and some old snow to try to keep more of it on the slopes. Here's Aspen Shumpert with today's 411.
The Idaho Family Policy Center says it plans to work with state lawmakers to introduce a bill renaming State Highway 16 as the Charlie Kirk Memorial Highway. Their proposal is expected at the start of the legislative session in January. Charlie Kirk, a conservative activist, was shot and killed during an event at Utah Valley University in September, where he spoke about his faith and political views. Leaders from the Idaho Family Policy Center say renaming the highway would honor Kirk's life and denounce what they describe as, quote, rising political and religiously motivated violence. The West Ada School District is hosting its third and final town hall meeting focused on proposed boundary changes tonight. The district plans to adjust attendance areas to balance enrollment and accommodate growth, which will potentially impact several schools in the district. Officials say these changes were developed by a community-led committee and are now looking for public input. Tonight's town hall is at Hillsdale Elementary at 6 p.m. You can also share your thoughts through an online survey. Bogus Basin is making headlines with a game-changing technology that could revolutionize your ski season. The mountain is the first in the country to test Snow Secure, a Finnish invention that stores snow through summer. Here's how it works. Large insulation mats keep snow frozen even in triple-digit temperatures. This summer, Bogus stored a giant snow pile, and when it was uncovered in October, most of it was still frozen. The Idaho Steelheads are back at home tonight, taking on the Allen Americans. The puck drops at 7 o'clock. If you can't make it down, you can watch the game for free on KTVB's digital channel 7.2. The same two teams will be back at Idaho Central Arena on Friday night. And that's the 411 on the 208. I'm Aspen Shumpert.
All right, Rod wants to know, isn't Brandon Durst's 15 minutes of fame over yet? Well, not as long as he's running for stuff and suing taxpayers. I guess not. Charlie Kirk was not a fallen police officer, but rather a very controversial political figure that not everyone agrees with. So why would it even be considered to name a major Idaho highway after him, says Matt. Other people have had the same question this afternoon. Crapo has amnesia. Dave just basically saying in 2021, they had a chance to adjust all the immigration rules, and he voted no on all those as well as the rest of the GOP. So tough to say you can want to do that now, is what he's saying. With legal migrants being rounded up by ICE, how many workers south of the border are wanting to accept the H-2A and H-2B offerings and risk being rounded up themselves, asks Stephen in Eagle. Meanwhile, this one, I'm not sure who this one is from, but he says, sorry, no copper in the U.S. Senate since 1983, only copper before that year. We understand that. It's still 2.5%, by the way, but nothing put the brakes on a good story than stopping for a fact check in the middle of it. We do it now. We'll see you tomorrow.
Continue with us and watch free now on the KTVB Plus app everywhere you stream.